Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. We've been talking about financing stadiums and all of that. The Chiefs, this is a big setback for them. Kansas City has been a model franchise, has been a great citizen in that community, dating back to the old AFL days when the Hunt family were one of the first ones in with the American Football League. And we now know what modern day Chief football is and the championships and the Super Bowl and Andy Reid, etc. They went to the polls on Tuesday, and there was a bond proposal to help raise money to renovate Arrowhead Stadium for the second time in about 70 years. And it failed. 58% of the people voted against it. There would have been a special sales tax that would have raised $800 million for renovation. Now, the Hunt family was going to put up $300 million of it themselves. They wanted $500 million more from the community, and the community said no. So the Chiefs are kind of taking a step back, trying to determine how are we going to do this financially to renovate this thing, because they did $250 million renovation probably 20 years ago. And a lot of that money came through a sales tax, and they asked for continuation of the tax, and it's been turned down. Kansas City's got another problem, and this guy, Rashee Rice, is in big trouble with the law. He's the young wide receiver that had the really good season with Patrick Mahomes this past year, 75 receptions. This kid is obviously out of control. He lives in Dallas. He rented a Lamborghini SUV. He rented a Corvette. He and a friend were drag racing on an interstate, lost control, crashed into the medians, and hit 4 other cars, a 6-car accident. Rice admitted this afternoon he was the driver of the Lamborghini. One of his friends was the driver of the Corvette. They got back in the vehicles and they drove off. They did not check to see if anybody had been injured in the 4 other cars. It was a chain reaction thing. How stupid is this? Too much money in the kid's pocket. He's paying $1,750 a day to rent this Lamborghini SUV. It's a $10,000 rental. How stupid is he? So he apologized today. He says, I will take full responsibility. Dude is going to get suspended by the NFL because leaving the scene of an accident is real serious. Had there been a death, it would have been a felony. How stupid is Rashee Rice? Buffalo Bills, this was a shocker. But I'll tell you, I guess if you connected the dots, Buffalo traded Stefon Diggs, the big play wide receiver. He went to the Houston Texans, who are building a massive offensive football team. He went there for a second-round draft pick. I think at the end of the day, Buffalo just got tired of the act, tired of the junk, tired of the social media post, tired of, quote, his unhappiness with that quarterback, Josh Allen, that head coach, or the changing offensive coordinators, tired of the playbook. Buffalo woke up and said, enough. How bad do they want to get him out of there? They're taking a $31 million cap hit this season.
Wow.
To get Stefon Diggs out of there. Houston got themselves a great player. He's going to go play for a pretty good coach. DeMeco Ryans was a pretty tough guy. You know, they've added top pass rusher from Minnesota, Daniel Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
They added Bengals big-time running back Joe Mixon. Now they add Stefon Diggs, and they're all going to go into the meeting room with quarterback C.J. Stroud.
That's not too bad.
That's a hell of a job of rebuilding. This is a really ugly story in Detroit with the Lions. Cam Shelton, a cornerback, disappeared for 2 weeks. He was, quote, a fugitive at large. There was an arrest warrant out for him. They couldn't find him. He had been in the Lions facility. He was facing a charge of domestic abuse with a girlfriend and strangulation. That's pretty serious stuff. He disappeared for 2 weeks. They finally found him in Florida. He turned himself in. The minute he turned himself in, Detroit released him. Tired of bad characters, bad actors. He's got a big problem on his hands. And this story just broke this afternoon. Michael Bidwell, the Arizona Cardinals owner, is being sued big time. As we have talked about in the past, you talk about a dysfunctional organization. You know, they fired 6 vice presidents during the season, and right at the end of the season, virtually every one of their key decision makers gone. One of the guys that he let go last season was a senior vice president by the name of Terry McDonough. And as he was going out the door, Bidwell and his PR firm put out a statement that they were terminating McDonough because of lifestyle questions. And in the press release, They put in there domestic abuse, child abuse, adultery, drugs, and alcohol as a reason for terminating him. McDonough filed for arbitration. Any contractual thing that turns into a dispute in the NFL goes to NFL arbitration. Mm-hmm. Midweek, NFL arbitrator said the Cardinals violated the whole damn contract. You owe him $3 million right now. So they owe McDonough $3 million. Today, McDonough and his family filed a massive $10 million defamation lawsuit against Bidwell, his PR firm, and the lawyers who did this, quote, investigative work that they were going to find out about spousal abuse, child abuse, adultery, and all that crap, which McDonough says none of that is true. So now they're suing defamation against the Cardinals and Michael Bidwell and the entourage of his people who did all this to McDonough publicly. I mean, I understand you're terminating the guy. You can probably tell the guy, I don't like you, and this is why I'm letting you go. But to put out a press release and quote this, and this, and then McDonough goes to arbitration, and the arbitrator says, there's no evidence that any of this stuff happened. Bidwell, nice owner, huh?
Yeah. Jeez, really? Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that, Bidwell's had a long history. Him and his family goes way back.
Bill Bidwell, and prior to that, Charles Stormy Bidwell, Chicago Cardinals.
How many crap owners do we have in all these sports? We got John Fisher.
We have enough hands?
Yeah, I know, exactly. Spanos, the whole thing. Yeah, putting that in your press release that it was child abuse and domestic abuse. I mean, even if you suspected that were true, you don't put it in your press release. You just let that out. That's like you say, that's like a police matter, So that's nuts. I mean, the Rashee Rice story is pretty incredible, isn't it?
Put money in kids' pockets. I mean, it's unbelievable he would do this kind of junk.
Well, no, but I don't blame him for having money in his pocket because he earned that money and he deserves that money. But he's just a damn fool for doing this sort of thing. But, when you're young, you're in your 20s, you think that you're invincible and you can take, a fast car and go 120 miles an hour down the freeway. What a damn fool. And he was a really good receiver last year.
Past tense, he will sit a chunk this year.
Yeah. Yeah. So, has the commissioner weighed in on this yet?
No, not yet. They're going to let the legal road follow, and then they'll take their decision. But I bet you he's not there opening day, and I bet he's gone for a chunk of time, leaving the scene of an accident that you caused drag racing.
Yeah. But see, again, that goes to immaturity too. When you're in your 20s and you're scared, you're freaked out by this situation, and they just go rather than doing the right thing. So this goes back to, the NFL kind of teaching the youngins, and kind of developing the right kind of culture. The last comment I wanted to make was about Kansas City, because it's not just the Chiefs, it was the Royals too.
And the Royals have a big situation because their Royals Stadium is really ancient and it's fallen apart. And the problem with the Royals, I don't think the Chiefs would ever leave where they are just outside the city. Mm-hmm. The Royals have a proposal across the state line from Kansas City, Kansas, to build a baseball stadium. Would they vacate, jump on I-70 and just go over the state line and build there? Because that's maybe 10 or 15 miles from downtown Kansas City, Missouri, is where Kansas City, Kansas is. So the Royals might be the one that vacates.
It's kind of a weird marketplace, Kansas City. Remember the Kansas City Omaha Kings?
Yeah, way back in the day.
Way back in the day, because I think they were just the Kansas City Kings, and then they kind of broadened its scope. That would make a lot of sense for the Royals to move because they don't really draw much.
They haven't been very good.
They haven't been good. Well, they had their moments there with Hosmer in the mid tens, but wow. I mean, again, voters rejecting a sales tax increase to fund a corporation's building, which I think is good.
But here's the issue: the Royals are going to put up $1 billion of the $2 billion needed to build the stadium. So they're asking the community, by use of this sales tax, to give us the other $1 billion to the $1 billion we're already put in the pot. And the Chiefs were going to pay $300 to $500 million of the $800 million they needed for the renovation. So it's not like the Chiefs and the Royals were walking around with their hand, give me some money.
Well, they wanted $1.5 billion collectively amongst the two of them. Mm-hmm. So they are going out with their hands out.
Yeah, but the owners of these clubs are pouring a ton of their own resources in.
They should be responsible for 100% of it. I mean, when you were back at Extra 690, we didn't pass a sales tax to increase the revenue to the radio station.
Should have passed a sales tax to pay me better.
Yeah. Well, you deserved it, but you got to have private ownership, manage private affairs. Taxpayers shouldn't get suckered into this, because as much as we love sports, there's a lot of people that don't.
Exactly.
And they got to pay. That's not right.
Okay, that's where we are. One other topic on the